welcome back. We're finally back. I have been sick this past week. I can still feel it a bit. I'm not entirely not sick again. But I'm close. And I've really missed streaming. Really, I have. And yeah. We're back. And fick, I just realized I forgot my water. But yeah, we're back. And we're going to be reading today. So I might need to go down and get some water real quick in a sec. But, you know, sorry. I might suddenly, like, stop reading and stuff and mute because, and that's just because I need to, like, cough or, you know, I've had a cold, so. But yeah, it's been a while. I only had one stream last week, and that was a drawing stream, and I was still very sick then, and I had some friends on the Discord to entertain you guys. Sorry. So I've just been drinking a lot of, like, tea last week. Tea with honey from our own bees. We got a couple of families, and we're getting a new one with a queen from this year, from this summer. We will be getting that family in late summer. We won't get any honey from them this year, but that's okay, because we still got a couple of families that give us honey. But yeah. I hope you've been well. I have not. And I'm sorry for no face cam, because I feel disgusting. I feel like I look disgusting, so sorry. Body dysmorphia, you know. Gotta love it. Not. But yeah. Oh, it's almost Pride as well. And what better way to celebrate Pride than by, actually sending in, like, an application or whatever it's called to getting my name changed legally. Because, like, I've gone by Marev since September, October, and I have yet to do that because I've been scared, I guess. Scared of it getting denied, because it is a possibility for my name change to get denied. Because it is not in the name registry Denmark has. So there's that possibility. But yeah. And I still have yet to figure out something, like, special to do for, like, Pride Month. I'm thinking maybe once or twice a week, like, talking about my experience, my journey of self-discovery, and, like, how I found my name, and, like, maybe have some other people on as well to, like, talk about their journeys and everything. So that would be pretty cool. And I realized there are going to be a lot of, like, trolls and homophobes and transphobes that are going to be going through the LGBTQ+ tag on Twitch and be absolutely disgusting people. So I might have to reach out to my mods to be aware of that. And, like, ask if they'll be able to, like, come to my streams, as many streams as they can. And if they're not able to do that during Pride Month, don't sweat it. I will, for a time, have them on mod. Like, not have them as mods, just for that period of time, because I need someone who can be there during my streams for most of my streams. for most of the time to like deal with those people, because there are also going to be other queer people searching through that tag to like find new streamers and stuff, and I don't want them getting uncomfortable either in my chat. So yeah. Oh yeah, and it's raining. It's raining right now, so I have like this nice lo-fi ambience. It's really nice. And I actually have like this I found this playlist called on Spotify called Night Rain, with a lot of like rain sounds and nature sounds. I'm thinking like putting that on. Just for the ambience, for the atmosphere. Because I like listening to the rain hit my windows when it's not like storming outside, because I do not enjoy strong winds. Slight phobia of that, actually. I do not like storms and stuff. But yeah. And I'm also like thinking of maybe trying to play Thomas Sanders' music during my streams to see if I'll like get a DMCA strike from that. Because I really don't know if I will or not. It would actually be pretty funny if I did. But I do not know if I will or not. So we'll see. But yeah, I hope you all have been doing well this past week. I hope you've taken care of yourselves and you've hydrated and eaten good food. Remember to eat and drink water. Be outside for a walk or two. Maybe getting a vaccine shot. Who knows? I'm seeing a lot of people getting vaccinated recently. And I'm soon going to be one of those people. Because here in Denmark, like, people between 16 and 19 are going to be getting an invitation in the following weeks to get vaccinated, to like get their first shot. And I'm like, I'm going to be accepting that. I want to get vaccinated, okay? I want everybody to get vaccinated so we can have this pandemic be over with. Is there anything else to like update you on? Oh yeah, and I'm starting this thing tomorrow where I'm like doing different kinds of stuff for like 4 hours a day. Well, 4 hours Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, Friday's 3 hours. To like just get me readjusted to being around people for longer periods of time, for like when I am going to start up in school again. And then I'm going to be like in the following weeks as well having a meeting with these I don't know what they're called actually, but they're going to be trying to find a good place for me to become an intern, for like cleaning and stuff, or like a few hours a week, some hours a week. So I also like that can get into the habit of getting up early and, being around other people, but not as much because social anxiety, and it drains me mentally. But also I can get some munch that way as well. Yeah. So that's what's been happening lately for me. But I am hoping to get back into the habit of streaming every day. Some days I might like sound a bit drained and stuff because of what I'm starting up tomorrow, but that's okay. I'll still be streaming. But yeah. Yeah. That's what's been happening lately. And we're 15 minutes in. I feel like such an awkward person. I'm so sorry. I actually really am an awkward person, and I do really apologize for that. But if you like have anything else for me to do during Pride Month that you think would be really cool for me to do, please leave suggestions for me in chat, or like at me on Twitter. I would really love to see your suggestions. Or remember to follow me there and keep up with updates on my streaming. Yeah. Oh, and of course, follow me here as well. We want to get to those 50 followers before Pride. I don't think it's possible, but maybe we'll hit 50. But I'm pretty sure we'll be able to hit 50 during Pride. So yeah. I'm actually thinking maybe like during my drawing streams during the weekends, maybe I'll have people come there and like talk about their experiences while I also draw. That would be pretty neat, right? I think so, at least. But yeah. Okay, I am going to be starting this Night Rain playlist when Spook Wave is done playing. There. I just like the ambiance, really. Like, this whole atmosphere it creates. It's so cozy. I love it. But yeah. But yes, as you've seen from the title, I am going to be starting a new book today. We're starting a new book today called Winter Turning. It is book 7 in the Wings of Fire series. And I have the cover on the screen. And the dragon we see, he is called Winter. He is in Icewing. So yeah. And it's from his point of view this book is in. So yeah. Okay, reading the backside of the cover. Nope. Bye-bye to you. We do not want that here. I don't want to become famous. I just want to be a streamer who has fun doing what they do. Anyway, the back cover reads as follows. Daring mission or deadly mistake. Winter has been a disappointment to his royal Icewing family his whole life. When his sister Icicle runs away from Jade Mountain Academy, fleeing terrible crimes and possibly planning to commit more, Winter knows that they both need a second chance to make things right. If only he can find her. Winter's new claw mates, Moon, Kinkaju, and Quipley, won't let him make this dangerous journey alone. They don't seem to understand that Icewings, the most superior of all dragon tribes, can fix their own problems. Winter Sedge leads the dragonets straight into Queen Scarlet's vicious talons. Winter is grateful to have some help, but even the bravest dragons can't follow him to the Ice Kingdom, where he'll have to face his greatest threat of all, his own family. Ooh, the book sounds exciting, don't you think? And then there's like a lot with like Welcome to Jade Mountain Academy, some like the winglets and stuff, and like basics about the different dragon tribes, and then the Jade Mountain Prophecy, which Moon came with in the ending of last book, Moon Rising. You know what? I'm just going to reiterate that because these next 4 books is going to be leaning heavily on that. Like, this is the prophecy that's going to be fulfilled or stopped. Beware the darkness of dragons, beware the stalker of dreams, beware the talents of power and fire, beware one who is not what she seems. Something is coming to shake the earth, something is coming to scorch the ground. Jade Mountain will fall beneath thunder and ice unless the lost city of night can be found. And that was the Jade Mountain Prophecy. Remember, we are reading 5 chapters, and the prologue, obviously. So we're probably going to be here for like the next 2 hours, and that's okay. I don't know how long these chapters are. So we'll see. Prologue. 2 years ago. It was one of those days so blue and sunny that you had to be flying. The sky reached in your window first thing in the morning and dragged you out, flinging you up and up and up into the beautiful wing-catching wind. You had to soar and spin and dive because a day this perfect might never come again. And sometimes you had to take your little brother with you, and sometimes you had to hurl his cautious tail into wonderful danger because the wind was roaring and the sky was glorious and the sunlight promised that nothing bad could possibly happen. Hailstorm did a flip in the air, laughing. "The currents are mine to command," he shouted. "Can you catch me? No, you cannot. No one can. I am the commander of the sky." "I think the Skywings would disagree," Winter called. He twisted to scan the cloudless blue emptiness around them. "Oh, stop worrying," Hailstorm said, spinning into a dive. There weren't any dragons within flight sight. It was a perfect day for Winter's first expedition into Skywing territory, especially if you really wanted to find a scavenger. Oh. "This doesn't feel safe," Winter observed as they landed. His talons sank into a pile of leaves, and he jumped back, eyeing them with suspicion. "Yikes! What are all these flappy things on the ground?" "They come from the trees," Hailstorm said, laughing. "No need to panic, little brother. We're here for your weird little obsession. So get excited." He took a deep breath, inhaling the smells of the forest, and sneezed loudly. "Shh!" Winter protested. "This is a Sky Kingdom. There could be enemy soldiers everywhere." "Lounging around in the woods near a scavenger den?" Hailstorm said skeptically. "Doubtful." He flicked his brother's wing with his tail. Winter was only 3, but he was very amusing. A lot more fun to tease than their sister. He also tried so hard and still had so much trouble with their rankings. Poor dragon. Hailstorm wished he could relax a little bit. Not everyone could be the best at everything, although it most likely didn't help that his big brother actually was. Despite his worry, Winter couldn't hide his excitement spilling over his face. "Is there really a scavenger in here?" He blinked at the trees, as if hoping a scavenger would suddenly fall out of one of them. "That's what the patrol reported," Hailstorm said with a shrug. They said they saw at least 5 scavengers, and that many usually means a den nearby. Now that they were surrounded by trees, though, he had no idea how they were going to find one of these little creatures for winter. Hailstorm had never actually seen one himself. There were hundreds of furry smells in the forest, but he couldn't even figure out which one was scavengers and which ones were squirrels. The only thing he was sure of was that none of them were polar bears. What are you going to do if we do catch one? Hailstorm asked, turning over a fallen log and checking underneath. Nope, no scavenger there. You know they can't survive in the Ice Kingdom. You won't be able to keep it. I just want to look at it, Winter said. Have you ever seen a scavenger up close? I read that they wear other animals' skin on top of their own skin. Isn't that bizarre? Why would they do that? Same reason Mother has that necklace of skywing teeth, Hailstorm said authoritatively. To make themselves seem more dangerous and scare off any possible predators. Obviously. Winter glared at the sky. Speaking of skywings, we're fine, Hailstorm insisted, tempted to jab Winter's worrying snout with one of his claws. We're several mountains away from Queen Scarlet's palace. No one is going to find us here. But won't Father be furious? Winter asked, twitching slightly. Hailstorm ruffled his wings as though he was trying to shake the idea of their parents right off his scales. Oh, who cares? He said. I'm going to be second in command of the Icewing Army one day. Queen Glacier already said so. Mother and Father can't do anything to me. They can do plenty to me, Winter said. Not if you get high enough in the rankings, Hailstorm said with a grin. Which you do by being brave and strong and bold. I thought it was by being smart and following orders, Winter said. Hailstorm dismissed this with a wave of his tail. Dragons in the 3rd circle and below can worry about following orders. 1st circle dragons have to prepare to be leaders one day. Besides, I'm the best fighter in the Icewind Kingdom. Even if we do get caught, I think I can take a couple of skywings. Oh, really? Said a mocking voice behind them. How about 14 skywings? Hailstorm whirled around. Red and orange dragons were slithering between the trees, surrounding them. Their eyes glittered in the golden light, and their enormous wings were tucked in close to avoid the snarling branches above. His heart sank. This couldn't be happening. Bad luck wasn't a thing that ever wandered into Hailstorm's life, and this was the worst luck he could have imagined. 14 Skywing warriors were more than he could fight alone. Definitely more than he could fight and still keep his little brother safe. Second in command of the Icewing Army, said the one who'd spoken, a dark red female dragon with an unusually long neck and tail. Small rubies glittered from between the scales around her eyes. Larger ones clicked together on spiky silver rings around her claws. Then you are a prize, aren't you? Mother will be so interested to meet you. Let us go, Winter said fiercely. Queen Glacier will have your heads on spikes by morning if you dare touch us. Oh, very attached to you, is she? The dragon said, arching her brows. That's absolutely our favorite kind of prisoner. Seize them, she ordered the other Skywings. Perhaps you can take us, Hailstorm said, drawing in a hissing breath. But how many of you are going to die first? Do you know what happens when frost breath touches your eyes? Do you know what it feels like to watch your legs snap like a broken icicle? Or how long it takes frozen ears to turn black and fall off? His voice was cold, his threats slicing the air between them like a freezing wind. Winter raised his tail and inhaled, working up a gust of frost breath of his own. So a few dragons die, said the female Skywing with a shrug. The other Skywings exchanged uneasy looks. You'll be our prisoners in the end, either way. Here's another idea, said Hailstorm. Take me and let Winter go, and nobody has to die. What? Winter cried. You don't need him, Hailstorm said, ignoring his brother. He's completely useless. Queen Glacier won't trade any prisoners for him. Nobody back in the Ice Kingdom would care whether they ever saw him again, and he wouldn't be interesting in your queen's arena. He can barely fight. He'd be dead in 2 heartbeats. Winter looked as though the world was crumbling beneath his talons. Is that true? He whispered. Hailstorm, is that really what you think? If he's so useless, the Skywing asked, why do you care if we let him go? Hailstorm lifted and settled his wings again. Call me sentimental. He's my little brother and I quite like him, even if I wouldn't want him beside me in a battle. Besides, I know I'm worth trading, whereas he'll be bones in your arena sands before the month is up. Ouch, said the Skywing, giving Winter an amused, pitying look. I think I'd probably rather die in a battle than listen to my brother talk about me that way. I'm not useless, Winter said furiously. Fight me and you'll see. Oh, go home, Hailstorm said, swatting Winter's wing. You want to be useful? Fine, get out of here. Go tell our parents where I am. I'm not leaving you, Winter protested in a half-choked voice. I'm not going to hand you over to them without even trying to save you. Yes, you are, Hailstorm said. This is a real war, little brother. Go away and let the true warriors fight in it. Nobody wants to watch you pathetically flail around and then die pointlessly. Oh my, I can't even listen to this anymore, said the Skywing. Icewing, I'm going to be more merciful than your heartless brother and let you go. You can tell Queen Glacier that Queen Scarlet will consider a trade if she'd like to send a messenger to open negotiations. Trade for... Oh, wait a sec. Trade for who? Hailstorm wondered. The Icewings didn't have any political prisoners of importance. Where would they even keep them? The Ice Palace was far too cold for dragons from any other tribe to survive it for long. He shoved Winter away, trying to ignore the anguished look in his brother's eyes. Fly away, he growled, right now. He could see that the only way to make Winter leave was to be as cruel as possible. He lowered his voice and shoved in the last blade. Don't be a mewling rainwing in front of our enemies. Winter stepped back, tense, like a wolf about to spring. He stared into Hailstorm's eyes for one long final moment, and then suddenly pivoted and leaped into the air. His pale blue scales glinted orange-red as they caught the sun, and then he swooped into the wide sky, heading west. He's safe, Hailstorm thought with relief. Even if he hates me now, at least he's alive. Winter wasn't useless, but it was true that his current ranking wouldn't make him worth rescuing, and it was also true that Hailstorm didn't want to see his brother die in Scarlet's notorious arena. The Skywing smiled as Hailstorm turned back to her. Aren't we civilized? She said. Somebody club this Icewing over the head and let's drag him off to the prison. That's not necessary. Hailstorm started to protest, but suddenly a sharp bolt of pain cleaved through his head, and everything went dark. He woke up in a bright throne room, so bright he instantly got a headache, although the brightness of the sun on ice had never bothered him. But here the sun reflected hotly in all corners of the room, and every surface seemed to be plastered with gold, loud and gaudy and yellow and way, way too shiny. "Oh, finally," said an impatient voice nearby. "You've been so horribly boring. I hope you intend to be exceptionally thrilling. And now, to make up for it..." Hailstorm gathered his wings and stood up slowly, rubbing his head. Chains weighed down his talons, and strange metal bands prevented his wings from unfurling all the way. But there were no guards around him. Only one other dragon was in the room. He lifted his eyes to the throne. Orange scales, glittering rubies, a circlet of gold and diamonds. Yellow eyes peered down at him through veils of smoke. He'd only seen the Skywing Queen from a distance once, during a battle, but there was no doubt this was her. "Greetings, your majesty," he said. "I'm sorry we have to meet this way." She studied him for a moment, and then an unexpected smile quirked the corners of her mouth. "Instead of in combat," she guessed. He gave her a similar small smile in return. "Yes, the battlefield is where I prefer to meet all my enemies, although then the acquaintance doesn't last very long." "Arrogant," Queen Scarlet mused, "like all in Ice Wings." "Take note of that," she said over her shoulder. Hailstorm saw a shadow move behind the queen, as if something were pushing itself slowly out of the wall. He blinked, feeling a strange shiver of eerie fear. But when he looked again, an ordinary Skywing soldier was standing beside Queen Scarlet, writing on a small scroll. He hadn't seen her come in, but maybe all the gold had dazzled his eyes, so he just missed her before. She was an orange color, very close to the golden yellow of the room, with warm amber eyes. She looked young and quiet. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was soft. "Are you sure you want to do this, your majesty?" she asked. "Yes," Queen Scarlet said with a hiss. "He's dangerous the way he is. Anyone can see that. I can't use him in my arena if I want to trade him later, and I don't want to deal with any messy escape or rescue attempts." You understand, I'm not sure what the consequences will be," said the soldier, "if we stick to your unusual specifications, I mean." "I told you I'd only use you for special cases." The queen lashed her tail. "This is one." "Very well. Then he's gone," said the other Skywing. "No one will ever be able to find him. Trust me." Queen Scarlet snorted. "Not one of my favorite activities, trusting other dragons," she said. "But I'll give it a whirl just this once. He's all yours." The dragon smiled sideways at Hailstorm, and for the first time in his life he felt cold. Cold all the way through his bones and claws. She stepped toward him, reaching for something around her neck, but he was too hypnotized by her eyes to run or fight or even scream. Her eyes were not normal Skywing eyes anymore. They were dark black, black as the darkest abyss in the ocean, and they were coming to swallow him whole. End of the prologue. Oh, damn! So that's what happened to Hailstorm. Okay. And I'm guessing that dragon was a animus dragon. Had some magic. Anyway, we are moving on to part 1 of the book, which is called A Cold Wind. And we will be reading the first 5 chapters today. Sorry, had to yawn. The first time Winter disappointed his family, he was 2 years old. Or at least, the first time he knew he'd disappointed them. Perhaps it had been happening all along, and they'd hidden it behind the stern, demanding faces they showed all the royal dragonettes. He could remember the dawn that day, the morning of his 11th hunt. Sorry, need to yawn again. The sub-zero chill in the air, the paling purple of the sky. 2 moons still high overhead, while the third slid its thin crescent silver down below the horizon. A snowy owl was perched on one of the palace outcroppings, its talons digging into the ice. It glowered beadily at Winter as if it saw his disgrace coming. His sister, Icicle, was in the hunting party, and his brother Hailstorm, too, along with 2 of Glacier's dragonets, one of Winter's royal uncles, 3 attendants, and Winter's parents, Tundra and Narwhal. They gathered in the courtyard of the ice palace, stamping their feet and beating their wings as the glorious freezing air filled their lungs. The sharp crunch of snow beneath their claws broke the stillness of the morning. Winter remembered looking up at his mother as she hissed for attention. "This hunt is for the table of the queen herself," Tundra growled. "Whoever brings down the first polar bear will be invited to sit at her side this evening." She shot a glittering look at Icicle, coiled beside Winter. Icicle was only 2 years old as well, but she already knew the future her parents had planned for her. So did Winter, although he suspected he wasn't supposed to. He couldn't remember how he knew. He had overheard his parents whispering when they thought he was too young to understand. Had he overheard his parents whispering when they thought he was too young to understand? Or had he figured it out from their behavior over the years? But he did know. One day, Icicle would challenge their aunt, Queen Glacier, for the throne. That was the reason she was hatched, and the destiny she was trained for, to kill Glacier and become queen herself. The only question was when. Glacier grew older and larger and stronger each year, and Icicle had to strike before one of Glacier's own daughters seized the queenship. Daughters, sisters, or nieces could try for the throne. Cousins could not. Neither could sisters-in-law, or Tundra surely would have thrown down the challenge herself. So Winter's parents couldn't wait forever. But they also needed to be sure Icicle was ready. She'd have only one chance. Kill or die. That was how it worked. Icicle lifted her snout and returned her mother's arch calculating look. "It'll be me," she said, sounding almost bored. "Tiny polar bear, easy. I have a much better nose than these 2. She flicked her tail dismissively at Hailstorm and Winter. "We'll see about that," Hailstorm said. He grinned and hopped from foot to foot, full of energy the way he always was. Winter often wished some of his brother's confidence would spill over onto him. The 5 dragonets set out first, flying away from the palace in 5 different directions. At their age, every hunt was still a test, a chance to prove your worth and climb higher in the rankings. Not that Hailstorm needed to climb any higher. He'd been at the very top since he was not quite 2 years old himself. He'd made top of the list the same day Icicle and Winter hatched, in fact. Winter knew it was risky, but he decided to try flying out to sea to hunt. Sometimes polar bears could be found on the islands off the coast, or drifting on the icebergs, or swimming from one to another. He had yet to catch a polar bear after 10 hunts, and as a result, his place in the rankings was lower than anyone in their family had ever been. Hailstorm killed a polar bear the first time we took him out hunting. His mother would observe coldly during their tense family meals, sliding a bowl of dripping meat down the table. Icicle has killed 3 so far. You obviously need to try harder. He scanned the waves for a long time, hoping to see a bobbing white head. Nothing moved except the sea itself and the shifting reflections of the rising sun. Finally, he swerved down toward one of the larger islands, not much bigger than the ice palace, but studded with caves where bears might hide. And suddenly, there, standing at the edge of the water, staring south, she was huge, with a yellowish tinge in her dingy white fur. The wind was blowing his scent away from her, and he was gliding. She hadn't heard him or smelled him yet. In a few heartbeats, he could be down there, sinking his claws into her shoulders. She'd put up a fight, but he would win. Hey! He'd bring home a polar bear at last, and if he hurried, it might even be him sitting next to the Queen at dinner tonight. Thank you for the follow, Deku Pup. It might even be him sitting next to the Queen at dinner tonight, while Queen Glacier ate his polar bear. He wheeled upward, ready to dive, and then a moment caught at the corner of his eyes, and he tilted his head toward the caves. A pair of tiny cubs was wobbling out of the snow. One of them tripped and sprawled out, paws flopping every which way, and the other growled with delight and tackled him. They rolled, wrestling playfully, and their mother swung her head around to grunt at them. Winter hesitated. Don't be a fool, he told himself. Just kill them, too. That's the way to impress mother and father. But there was something... No, this is not manga. This is... Yeah, it's a novel. It's a series called Wings of Fire. This is book 7, Winter Turning. Yeah. But there was something else watching the bears. It was well hidden, higher up among the rocks above the caves, but Winter's sharp Icewing eyes spotted it when it moved. A scavenger! A scavenger here! This far north? The creature was wrapped in so many furs. At first, Winter almost thought it was another polar bear cub, but there was no mistaking those clever, thin brown paws for the great clumsy paws of bears. The scavenger was carrying a kind of rough spear, and its eyes were fixed on the polar bears, so it hadn't noticed the dragon overhead yet either. Winter scanned the island and spotted a wooden canoe that had been hauled onto the pebbly beach. How far had the scavenger traveled through the rough Arctic waters? Was it hunting the bears of prey just like Winter was? If so, why wasn't it moving? Why had it lowered its spear as if it was already giving up? Winter stared intently, tracking the scavenger's gaze. The way it was watching the cubs. Was it hesitating? The way he had? Did it feel sorry for them too? Surely that was ridiculous. Scavengers couldn't feel pity. A hungry scavenger wouldn't spare the life of a bear just to protect her cubs. Would it? He wished he could scoop up the scavenger and study it more closely. What is wrong with you? Chandra's voice suddenly shrieked across the sky. Winter nearly leaped out of his scales. Are you hunting or sightseeing? Are you an Icewing or a Rainwing? Kill that bear. Winter twisted around and saw, to his horror, that his mother, father, and uncle were all winging toward him with disgusted expressions. Right behind them was Icicle, with a polar bear carcass dangling from her claws. He dove frantically toward the bear, but the noise had alerted her to the danger, and she was already charging up the slope and bundling her cubs back into the cave. Winter beat his wings and lunged with his talons outstretched, but they closed on empty air as the 3 polar bears vanished into the narrow, stony passageway where dragons would never be able to follow. Winter scrabbled at the cave entrance for a few moments, but there was nothing he could do. The bears were gone. He carefully forced himself not to look up at the scavenger. If his parents knew it was there, they'd made him kill it for the dinner feast, and for some reason he didn't want to. He couldn't imagine anyone eating those little paws, or the scavenger's head with its wide, dark eyes. A shiver went through his wings. How could you let it get away? Narwhal roared, landing beside him. Winter's father slammed one talon into the side of the cliff, and a small avalanche of snow crashed over Winter's head. It was right there. No kill could be easier. Maybe he was worried about the little baby bears, Icicle offered, coming down with a thump and a splattering of bear blood. Maybe he didn't want to leave them all alone with no mummy to take care of them. Poor little furballs. Her voice was sneering and triumphant. No, Winter cried. That wasn't it. I was just watching for a minute. I would have gotten it if you hadn't been wasting time mooning around. Narwhal hissed. We have to report this, you know. Your uncle saw the whole thing. Winter stared miserably at his talons. He knew his parents would have reported it anyway, even with no other witnesses. They believed in the strict Icewing codes of behavior. They agreed that the only way to make him strong was to expose all his weaknesses. Shame and fear were powerful weapons for teaching young dragonettes. If everyone was disappointed in him, surely he would fight harder to prove himself. I will, he thought fiercely. I will be better. I will claw my way up the rankings. I won't make a mistake like this again. But he still did not tell his parents about the scavenger hiding nearby. He glanced back only once, and as they were all swooping away, to make sure it was all right. The incident sent him down into the 5th circle. Above only 1-year-old dragonettes and families, they barely counted as aristocrats. For months, his mother had made him memorize long sagas about dragons who'd attempted the Diamond Trial to get back into the 1st circle, including about 100 verses speculating how gruesomely they might have died. The trial was a last resort, rarely used, but she made it clear that no dragonette of hers would reach his 7th hatching day any lower than 2nd circle, even if it meant turning to an ancient, mysterious, most likely deadly ritual. With that threat hanging over him, bit by bit, with a threat like that hanging over him, he had struggled to claw his way back up through the rankings bit by bit, and he had tried as hard as he could for so long. And then losing Hailstorm, actually leaving Hailstorm, abandoning him to his fate without a fight, had wiped out all that work. And he'd have to start all over from the 6th circle. Which I deserved, he thought. It was my fault we were on that mountain. My fault he got caught. My stupid, cowardly decision to leave him there. But everything was different now. Now he knew Hailstorm was alive, not dead as they all thought. Queen Scarlet had held him prisoner, and still did, hidden somewhere secret. And Icicle had been bargaining for Hailstorm's life before Winter had ruined her plan. She'd agreed to kill the Dragonettes of Destiny in exchange for Hailstorm, but Winter had stopped her, which meant if Scarlet killed Hailstorm now, it would be even more Winter's fault. He clenched his talons, but maybe he could get to her before that happened. If he could find Scarlet, maybe there was still a chance to save his brother. He swiped raindrops off his face, inhaling. The downpour was incessant and repulsive. He'd take a howling snowstorm over this dripping, soggy horribleness any day. The forest floor squashed between his claws, and the wet tree branches lashed his wings as they swayed in the storm. Below him, his pet scavenger stood in the open doorway of the cage Winter had built. The bandit squinted up at the dragon and the thunderstorm. I'm letting you go, Winter said impatiently. Don't just stand there. I can't carry a pet with me while I'm searching for Hailstorm, especially not one that flops around moping all the time. He rattled the cage, and the scavenger flinched. Winter had spent days and days on planning and thank you, follow. Winter had spent days and days on planning and constructing this cage, making it beautiful for his very first pet scavenger, and then Bandit hadn't appreciated it at all. He'd never used the swing or the running wheel. Mostly he'd cowered under the furs and squeaked, or he'd tried to run away. Isn't that what you wanted? Winter demanded. Bandit was the most disappointing pet of all time, but Winter couldn't help it. He still cared about him. Otherwise, he could have abandoned Bandit to someone's dinner back at Jade Mountain. Winter still remembered the expression on that first hunter-scavenger's face all these years ago, the curiosity and the dragon-like sympathy in its eyes. He'd hoped to see something like that in Bandit one day, but it didn't matter now. Nothing mattered except finding Hailstorm. Go on, get out of here, Winter grumbled. He poked at Bandit with one claw, but the scavenger dodged and retreated farther into the cage, covering his head. Winter felt a flash of pity for the creature, and then felt furious with himself for caring, when there were more important things to worry about. I know it's raining, but it's better than the Ice Kingdom. Trust me. If I take him with me to the Ice Kingdom, he'll either freeze to death or be eaten within the first day. Queen Glacier had granted him permission to have an exotic pet while at the academy, but where he saw an exotic pet, his parents were likely to see a delicious snack. Winter! He heard a voice yell somewhere off in the trees. A plume of fire lit up the faces of 4 dragons, hurrying toward him through the forest. To his astonishment, it was the rest of his winglet from the Jade Mountain Academy. Quickly, Turtle, Kinkajou, and Moon. He pushed back against the little jump that his heart made when he saw her. Just what I need right now. A bunch of glaciers slowing me down. By all the snow monsters, what are you doing here? Winter demanded. How had they even found him, and why? Looking for you, Moon said simply. Her eyes caught on his, shining in the bits of moonlight that fought through the storm clouds. She always looked at him as if she could see more of him than anyone else. As if she saw dazzling mountain peaks where his parents saw nothing but lumps of grey ice. And we found you, Kinkajou added. We're amazing. She flapped her wings as quickly as sent out another burst of flame, and Winter could see that she had turned bright yellow with purple spots. Ridiculous. That's what rain wings were, all of them. Flamboyant and ridiculous, with their feelings splattered all over their scales like that. It was embarrassing to be around. Winter glanced down at Bandit. He couldn't let these dragons distract him. I'm not going back to Jade Mountain, he said firmly. No matter what they said, they wouldn't change his mind. I'm going to look for my brother. I thought so, Moon said, her voice quiet, but as determined as his. We want to help you. We do? Turtle said, stamping his feet. Yes, Kinkajou said. I didn't know we did, but now I totally do. No way. Absolutely not. I can't be around them. Not even Moon. I mean, especially Moon. He saw Quipley staring intently at him, as though Sandwing was figuring out his next move. Quipley had done that all the time in the cave they shared on Jade Mountain, and it had been very unsettling to live with. Winter could just imagine what it would be like to have the Sandwing's black eyes inspecting everything he did on the path to find Hailstorm. You can't come with me, he said. I'm going to Queen Glacier. I need to explain it all to her and get her to help me find Hailstorm. Perhaps she would give him a wing of soldiers of his own to command. Or perhaps she would send out all her warrior dragons to search for Hailstorm. Regardless, he knew he needed the power of the Ice Wing Queen to save his brother. That was the smartest thing to do, wasn't it?
Wouldn't it make more sense to go to the Sky Kingdom? Kinkatu asked. Your brother must be imprisoned there somewhere, right? Oh, we could all look for him in, like, all the mountain caves or something.
Or you could go after Icicle, Quigley said. Try to find out more about what Scarlet told her. This was exactly what he didn't want. More options. More doubt.
Quigley was right. Icicle was the only one who knew anything about Hailstorm and Scarlet. Following Icicle would make sense, except...
I don't know where she's gone, Winter said bitterly. Back to the Ice Kingdom, he hoped, although she had to know Queen Glacier would be furious about her breaking the Jade Mountain truce. I have a guess, Quigley said. Of course he did. You won't like it, though, he added, nodding at Kinkaju. I think she's gone to the rainforest. She knows the one Scarlet hates the most is Glory. Everyone knows that, if they know the story of what Glory did to her face. So I think Icicle might think that if she kills Glory, Scarlet will forgive her for failing to kill the others. Nobody spoke for a long moment. Thrice-cursed moons, Winter thought. Oh, that was the wrong one. Sorry. Thrice-cursed moons, Winter thought. He's right. That's exactly what you would think. Icicle's brilliant, dangerous, and prefers to hunt alone. She would find a way to solve this problem instead of running for help. Thunder rumbled overhead.
Then I'm going to the rainforest, Kinkaju said fiercely. I'm not letting her kill my awesome queen.
Suddenly, Moon let out a yell of pain and crumbled forward, her wings collapsing around her. Winter stepped toward her, but Kinkaju was faster, catching the night wing in her wings.
Moon?
She cried, staggering sideways. A flash of lightning lit up Moon's face as the black dragon lifted her snout to the sky. Something blank and weird had taken over her eyes, like frost on a lake. And then she began to speak in a voice nothing like her own. Beware the darkness of dragons. Beware the stalker of dreams. No, wait, I actually think I'm going to do this. Echo. Beware the darkness of dragons. Beware the stalker of dreams. Beware the talents of power and fire. Beware the one who is not what she seems. Something is coming to search the earth. Something is coming to scorch the ground. Jade Mountain will fall beneath thunder and ice, unless the lost city of night can be found. The voice lurched to a stop, and Moon closed her eyes, releasing all the tension out of her wings. Everyone stared at her. Winter's heart was hammering like the pelting raindrops. Those words. That couldn't be what it sounded like, could it? By all the snakes, Quigley said at last. Winter met his eyes in the next flash of lightning. Quigley looked as terrified as he felt. As shaken as he'd been the day of the explosion in their history class. What was that?
That's what you've been muttering in your sleep,
Kinkaju said to Moon. It sounded like a prophecy, Winter said slowly. But it couldn't be. The Nightwings had sworn to everyone that their powers were gone. Tsunami, Sunny, Starflight, Clay, and Glory had confirmed it. No more mind reading. No more prophecies. Ever again. That was what they'd said. Exactly. So someone was lying. But who? Moon shook her head and pressed herself upright, her wings unsteady. Turtle, she said, please give him one of the rocks. The sea wing fumbled with the armband he always wore. Winter could see that a couple of the black stones were missing from it. And and as he watched, Turtle pried out another one and passed it to Winter. The stone was small, about the size of a dragon's tooth, and had a strange sheen to it, although that might have been the effect of the rain and the lightning. It was jagged around the edges, but not sharp. It looked fairly ordinary. "What's this?" he asked. "What does this have to do with prophecies?" "I have a lot to explain," Moon said. She sounded nervous, as though he might stab her with his tail spikes any moment, which he'd refrained from doing to anyone so far, so he thought that was rather unfair. "Everything. The whole truth. I'm going to tell you everything." "That sounds ominous," Winter said. "No more ominous than Jade Mountain will fall beneath thunder and ice," Quibbly said. "I hope we're all planning to talk about that, because I'm extremely unsettled right now."
"She said we have to find the lost city of night," Kinkachi said. "That's all, and then everything will be alright. We'll be fine, right? Isn't that what everyone else heard?"
"I'm pretty sure I heard that we're all going to die," Turtle said. Death, monsters everywhere, death." "Is that it?" Quibbly asked Moon. "Is that what you saw? Jade Mountain is going to fall on us all?" "I don't know," Moon said. "I've had visions, but none of them ever came out in words like that before. I don't know what it means."
"Visions?"
Winter didn't like the sound of that. He closed his claws around the rock, frowning at her, but Moon had gone quiet, staring into the dark, as though she were hearing something else. A few moments passed, and then she seemed to snap back to herself. "Winter," she said, "there are a few things you need to know about me." "I'm listening," he said. "Not that I have a choice, apparently." "It's true what you've heard about the Nightwings," she said. "They really have lost their powers. There hasn't been a Nightwing who could read minds or see the future in, well, a very long time." She took a deep breath. "Until me." Winter's tail twitched. His heart felt like the rocks in his talons, small and hard. Because I hatched in the rainforest," she went on, "under 2 full moons. I can do both." "Both what?" He forced out past the claws that seemed to be closing around his throat. "See visions of the future," she said, then hesitated. "And read minds." End of chapter 1. One sec, I gotta mute real quick. Alright, I'm back. Sorry. Sorry about that. But yeah, that was also like where we left off the last book. So we like saw from his perspective, the last chapter of the last book from his perspective here. I think it's really interesting the way Sutherland has gone with writing these books. Like, every book is from a different dragon's perspective. That is really interesting. Like, you get to see into the head of all the main dragons, and also see what they think about the other dragons. That's really interesting, I think. There. A bit louder now. You just tell me if it's too loud or anything. Anyway, chapter 2. No. Thunder rumbled through the dark clouds like boulders sliding down a mountain. What had Moon seen in his mind? What did she know? Did she know that he felt that he'd been thinking about her? Her eyes and the way she tilted her head, her claws that could gently shield his scavenger one moment and rip apart a goat the next. The way she stood up to him the first time they met, but looked at him as though he was worth listening to. She must know that he thought about her all the time. Stop thinking about it. Don't think it. Don't let her see any more. But you're safe now. I promise, she said quickly, reaching toward him as he leaped back. The rock you're holding, it's Skyfire. It can shield your thoughts from me. As long as you're holding it or wearing it close to your scales, I can't hear anything you're thinking. Sounds like another Nightwing lie, Winter snarled. What have you seen in my head? He thought fiercely. Moon wiped raindrops from her eyes and took a deep breath. I promise you, Winter, I can't hear anything in your mind right now. And even before, it was very confusing. Behind her, Quibbly let out a snort that sounded a bit too amused. That's how I knew about Icicle and Scarlet, Moon said. I heard them talking in Icicle's dream. I heard Icicle planning to kill Starflight on her way to the library. But I can only hear what dragons are thinking right at that moment. I can't reach in and rummage around in anyone's brain or anything like that. Winter found this image not very reassuring at all. You've been listening to us from the moment you met us, he said, deceiving us, spying on us. He hissed out a wisp of frost breath, turning the raindrops around him into tiny chunks of ice that clattered to the ground. I should have expected as much from a Nightwing. But not from this Nightwing. He thought Moon was different. He'd begun to think she might be the only Nightwing in the world he could trust. And the whole time... And the whole time, she'd been lying and snooping around in his thoughts. He must be the most dim-witted dragon who'd ever lived. I shouldn't have let my guard down. I've always been taught that Nightwings are conniving, underhanded backstabbers. I know the history of what they did to us. This is just more proof of that. Go back to Jade Mountain, all of you, Winter said. Leave me alone. He turned to the cage where his scavenger was still standing, staring mournfully out at the rain. Rain, eh? We're listening to rain right now? Maybe I should turn that up a bit. And you, get out of here! He roared as loud as he could. Bandit stumbled back with a cry of terror, then bolted out of the cage. The little creature tripped and sprawled on the wet leaves, scrambled upright again, and went galloping off into the dark night forest. Winter saw the look on Moon's face as she watched Bandit go, sympathetic, pitying, curious. No one else had ever been as interested in scavengers as he was. He curled his talons around the Skyfire rock. I mean it. Go away. I'm going to the Ice Kingdom, and if you follow me, you'll die. He paused for a moment. Not that I have any objection to your deaths. Just be clear, I just don't want to listen to you all breathing and flapping and saying stupid things all the way there. That can't be your plan, Quibbly said. The Sandwing was using his annoying, let's be sensitive about this voice. Go home and beg for help? By the time you get there, your brother might be dead. Your best chance is to catch Icicle.
Before she kills Queen Glory, Kinkachi said fiercely. The little rainwing was now a mango orange color, with streaks of black along her wings. She looked ready to fly into battle, but Icicle was a deadly warrior who could kill a vegetarian rainforest dragon with a snap of her tail. I don't need help from any of you, he growled, especially you. He threw a glare at Moon, who folded her wings closer around herself but didn't look away. You do, actually, said Quibbly. You won't get 2 steps into the rainforest without our help. It's full of night wings now, and everyone knows they don't like ice wings. And if you find Scarlet, do you think she'll just tell you where your brother is? Wouldn't it be useful and much more efficient to have a mind reader with you? Oh, is that what you are now? Winter asked Moon, a clever tool that can be used by whoever needs some quick answers. I won't let anyone use me, she said with a flash of anger. But if I can do something good with this gift I didn't ask for, then yes, I'll do it. Turtle interjected. Winter shifted his glare to the Seawing, who had been quietly pacing in circles, splashing through the puddles with his huge talons. Excuse me, what about that creepy prophecy? Is Jade Mountain in danger? Shouldn't we, warn someone? I'm not worried, Kinkaji said. We know where the lost city of Night is. The Nightwings abandoned it when the volcano erupted. But we can still get to it from the island from the rainforest. That's easy. So we go to the lost city, and then all those awful things won't happen, and Jade Mountain will be fine, right? Nothing to panic about. Quibbly let out a plume of fire, illuminating Moon's doubtful expression. I don't think that it's that simple, she said. The things I saw when the words came, the things I see in my nightmares, I can't imagine that just visiting the volcanic island could stop all of that from happening. Could stop any of that from happening. Well, let's try and see, Kinkachi said enthusiastically. But if it doesn't work, Turtle said, fidgeting nervously with his claws. All those dragons at Jade Mountain, my sisters. Hey, I agree with you, Quibbly said. I'm completely feeling the doom right now, but do you think anyone will believe her? He nodded at Moon. When they've been told the Nightwings have no powers now? Sunny will, Kinkachi said. Tsunami might not. She doesn't like prophecies very much. And then what? Shut down the whole school based on a maybe prophecy? Quibbly went on. I don't think they'll do that. Besides, Winter's problem is urgent. We have to find his brother before Scarlet kills him. So I wrote, we do that now and deal with the impending apocalypse afterward. Me too, Moon said. What in the world made these dragons think his problem was their problem? Finding Hailstorm was urgent to Winter. But it made no sense for any not-Ice Wings to get involved at all. Winter narrowed his eyes at Turtle, dripping forlornly into the puddles around his claws. It was easy to forget that the Seawing was a royal prince as well, the son of Queen Coral. He never acted like royalty. Instead, Turtle behaved as though he didn't want to be noticed at all, mumbly, sticking to the background, agreeing to anything. Was he afraid of something or just boring? If an Icewing acted the way Turtle does, he'd be stuck in the 7th circle forever. Which meant Winter could get rid of him by applying the right pressure. You should go back, he said, making Turtle jump. You don't want to tramp around Pyria looking for my deadly sister, who will kill you on sight, or my brother, who might do the same because, by the way, killing Sea-Wings was a specialty of his. Go keep an eye on Jade Mountain instead. Turtle's glow-in-the-dark scales flickered, illuminating his anxious face with pale greenish light. But what if the mountain falls on me? Is that dangerous? Is it dangerous? Not as dangerous as me, Winter hissed. It's not going to fall on you because we're going to stop it, Kinkachi said. But don't you want to stay with us?
I can't decide which sounds worse, Turtle admitted. Chasing killer dragons across Pyria, or sitting at school waiting for some kind of thunder and ice apocalypse to drop on my head.
It's alright, Moon said. Turtle, you can go back to Jade Mountain. You can tell them that we're safe and where we've gone.
That's true, he said, perking up. That would be useful of me, wouldn't it? Probably, Quibbly agreed. Although you could be useful with us too. But it's your choice. Turtle shuffled backward. I'll tell the Tsunami and the others not to worry about you. And I did promise Mother to watch out for Anemone, so I should really do that, you know? But you go catch the bad guys and stop the prophecy, and then I'll see you all when you get back to school, okay? A moment later, the sea wing had slipped away into the trees, and soon they heard muffled wet wing beats as he flew away.
Kinkachi said with a frown. That was disappointing. How can we be the second coming of the 5 Dragonets of Destiny if there's only 4 of us?
I hardly doubt we're destined for anything special, Winter said. You're not getting rid of the rest of us that easily, Quibbly said sharply to Winter, as though he knew exactly what Winter was trying to do. Alright, Winter growled. Fine, let's all go to the rainforest together like a sloppy pile of mud-winged siblings. I can look for Icicle, and you can go dig around in the ashes of the Night Kingdom.
And I can save Queen Glory,
Kinkaji said, leaping into the air. Besides, Quibbly pointed out, flicking his tail at Winter, they'll actually bring you closer to the Ice Kingdom, since then you can use the tunnel that comes out north of Queen Thorn's stronghold. That was true. Winter disliked the intensity. Winter disliked it intensely when Quibbly made clever observations like that, and it happened about 40 times a day. I know, he said, looking down his nose at the sandwing. Obviously, I figured that out. That's the only reason I'm agreeing to this. Oh, Quibbly said with a rakish grin. I thought perhaps it was because I'm so charming and convincing. You are neither, Winter said. In fact, if you don't shut up at once, I'll change my mind. Quibbly pretended to wrap invisible chains around his snout and lifted his front talons innocently. Let's go, Moon said, spreading her wings and lifting off. Quibbly and Kinkaiju leaped after her. Winter hesitated for a moment, watching the lightning flash in the sky beyond the flying dragons. Why was he agreeing to this? An Ice-Wing warrior didn't need help from anyone else, least of all a pack of misguided dragons from other tribes. Take Quibbly. Everyone knew Sandwings were nearly as untrustworthy as Nightwings, except half as smart and twice as likely to betray you for gold and treasure. And the Rainwing, they weren't even worth mentioning in the great Ice-Wing saga that told the history of this world. Lazy and insignificant and weak. There was no benefit to be gained from knowing them or befriending them. Worst of all, how could he ally himself with a Nightwing, even temporarily? Even if he went into it knowing not to trust her, to travel with Moon, to spend a single moment longer with her, knowing what he knew now. And yet, still feeling something he should not be feeling.
He's in love. He's got a crush on her. Just saying.
It's easy to see. I should stay as far away from her as I can. Mother and Father would be more disappointed in me. If they heard of this, any potential position in the palace would be gone forever. I'd land at the bottom of the 7th circle and have to choose between the diamond trial or being stationed on an Arctic island outpost for the rest of my life. He could see their faces so clearly, that look they got whenever he did something wrong. The look that said, if only we'd lost you instead of Hailstorm. If only you met any of our expectations. If only you were everything an Icewing should be. Winter! Quickly called from above. The others were hovering up there, waiting for him. Come on! This was only temporary, he reminded himself. Get to the rainforest, look for Icicle. Then he could rescue Hailstorm by himself. That's what a true Icewing prince would do. He wasn't really working with Moon and the others. He didn't have to listen to them, and he certainly wouldn't ask them for help. Most of all, he would never trust them, especially that lying Nightwing. Shaking rain off his tail with a clatter of spikes, he ascended into the storm, wheeling around in a circle, and took off toward the rainforest without a glance at the other dragons. End of chapter 2. Well then, it only confirmed it even more. He's got a huge fat crush on Moon. I hope the echo effect is working well. I really hope it's working well with, like, when he's thinking something. I really hope it works well. But yeah, we got 3 more chapters to go, and I don't know if anyone's been here from the start. If you have, thank you. That is I'm very thankful for you sticking around to listen to little old me read. Yeah. Well, ETR real quick. And I hope you like the sounds of rain in the background of me reading. I certainly do. And thunder. It is actually still raining outside for me, so I get to hear it in real life. But yeah. Chapter 3. Winter was not surprised to discover that the rainforest was horrifying and awful. For starters, there was something blocking Winter's view in every direction. Giant trees to the left, tangles of vines to the right, a thick canopy of leaves overhead. He could barely see 5 feet in front of him, never mind the horizon. How could any dragon keep watch in a place like this? How could you ever know if you were being attacked, or by how many dragons? It was an indefensible quagmire. Also a literal quagmire. Every time I landed, the mud was nearly enough to make him want to claw off his own scales. Moreover, this whole place was overwhelming. Too many bright colors. What self-respecting bird would ever need to have red, yellow, blue, and green feathers? Black and white. Those were the only feather colors for a dignified bird. Too many strange noises. What kind of animal howled like that? Why could he hear a waterfall for what seemed like hours and never see it? And what was that infernal non-stop buzzing? Winter, that's called insects. Sorry. You don't know that, obviously, because you live in the Arctic, basically. Sorry. Also, far too many weird smells. Winter couldn't decide which was the worst part, the bugs or the heat. It was painfully, oppressively hot in a sweltering, we're being boiled alive in our own scales kind of way. He thought he'd experienced heat traveling through the kingdom of sand,
but this was also damp and sticky and more miserable than anything he'd ever felt before. I don't know, Winter. I rather like the sound of that. Actually, I'd love to visit. Continue reading, Marv. Continue reading. Then there were the insects swarming around them, finding every spot between the dragon's scales to wriggle in and suck their blood. He'd already shaken 2 green-striped caterpillars, a walking twig thing, and an alarmingly furry spider out of his ear. His wings kept catching on enormous spider webs, and creatures with millions of legs had scurried over his talons at least a dozen times. He itched unbearably from his horns to his forlornly muddy tail. Was Icicle really here? You couldn't imagine her putting up with any of this. He couldn't imagine her with even a speck of mud on her. She had always returned from battle as pristine as when she'd left, apart from a few bleeding blue scratches here and there. Perhaps she'd taken 2 steps into this rainforest and decided that murdering the Rainwing Queen wasn't worth it. You must hate this place, Moon said, appearing beside him. They'd stopped to rest near a river, and Winter was crouched on a larger boulder, trying to dip his talons in the water without stepping in the oozing black mud that lined the banks. He narrowed his eyes at her, reaching unconsciously for the small wolfskin pouch that he kept tied to one of his ankles, where he'd hidden the skyfire. She sighed. Oh, I didn't get that from your head. I just figured an ice wing would probably hate it here. It must be the polar opposite of the Ice Kingdom. The anti-polar opposite, she added, then scrunched his snout, trying not to laugh at her own joke. Is this merely idle conversation? What would be the point of that? Or is she trying to trick some information out of me? It is, he said finally, and I do. This is where I grew up, she said, wading a few steps into the river. The water eddied around her legs, with glints of reflected sunlight. It's not so bad, actually. Humph, Winter snorted. Not so bad? Kinkachi said indignantly from the other bank. This is the most beautiful part of Pyria. Other dragons would be lucky to live here. The Rainwing bounded into the water with a splash that drenched Winter's nose and tail. A fat orange toad burst out of the river and made a clumsy dash for the reeds, trying to get away from the dragon nets. Moon tilted her head at it, then flared her wings quickly as he sat up from the middle of the river. Don't eat it, she warned him. Seriously. One of those give me hiccups for days, and some really weird dreams. I thought for a while I was having visions of a possible future where newts and antennae overtook the world. Kinkachi giggled. Here, try these instead, Moon offered. She reached into one of the overhanging trees and pulled a few strange fruits from the branches. They were a curious reddish pink on the outside, with flaps like folded up flower petals. But as she sliced them open with her claws, Winter saw that on the inside they were white with small black flecks. She handed one to Quibbly, then glanced sideways at Winter. Absolutely not, he said. Don't get that vile stickiness anywhere near me. Fruit. Yuck. His stomach growled, and he tried to hide it by scraping his claws along the rock. You are so weird, Kinkachi said to him. How can you not love it here? Don't you come from a place with no colors and no life? He thought of the 1,000 different shimmering shades of blue in the ice palace. He remembered the distant splashes of whales and seals, and the way sound carried across the cool, quiet ice. He
He thought of how he could smell polar bears or Arctic foxes from miles away, and how all of his senses could detect the smallest change in the frozen world. Here it was just too much. White is a color, he snapped at the rainwing. Blue is a color. That is an eyesore. He pointed to a violently red flower as big as one of his talons. We also have these, Moon said. She shifted a dark green leaf on one of the trees and revealed a spiraling tendril of delicate white-blue flowers, glowing like snowflakes against the brown trunk. Oh, and look, there's a sloth. She pointed to a furry grey shape that was clambering slowly along the branch far overhead. Sorry. Nose is itchy. Thank the moons, Winter said, leaping to his feet. I knew there had to be something worth eating around here. He shot into the air, his claws reaching for the sloth's exposed white underbelly. Wait! Moon cried. There was a twin shriek of dismay from Kinkajou. The sloth peered over its shoulder and blinked enormous, confused eyes at him. And then, wham! Something slammed into Winter's side and smashed him against the tree. He saw a flash of red scales and sharp teeth and thought, Skywing! Could it be Queen Scarlet? Here? Attacking him? He whirled and lashed out with his tail, but just missed the enemy dragon as it dove under him. Winter spun again and clawed at the air where the dragon should have been. But once again, it whisked out of his reach. A red dragon swooped up to the branch, snatched the sloth in its talons, paused to glare at Winter, and then vanished. Winter roared with surprise and fury. Calm down, Winter shouted in his ear. The sandwing ducked as Winter swiped at him. Winter, stop! That was a skywing, Winter snarled. It attacked me and stole my prey and then disappeared. Oh, seal gods! Not a skywing, Quibbly pointed out, although Winter had obviously figured that out already. I know! Winter roared, beating the air with his wings. Come out and face me, you cowardly, lunch-stealing rainwing. The dragon suddenly materialized on the branch again, her scales shifting to a furious red with splatters of black and orange. Telfer is nobody's lunch, she shouted. Those nasty black dragons have already eaten one of my slugs. I'm not letting it happen again. She flexed her claws and bared her teeth at him. Don't make her mad, Quickly said quickly, grabbing Winter's shoulder. Don't make her more mad. The heat emanating from the sandwing's yellow scales was uncomfortable, and Winter shook him off. As if a rainwing would ever dare fight me, Winter scoffed. As if I couldn't claw off a face as easily as breathing. What is it with you and faces? Quibbly said. You should try threatening someone's elbows or ankles once in a while, just for a change of pace. Kinkajou landed on the branch beside the angry rainwing, angling herself between the furious dragon and Winter. Exquisite, it's me, she said. I'm sorry about this. I promised we were about to stop him. Ha! Winter barked. Winter, do you have a part of your brain that can handle empathy? Quickly asked. That sloth is a pet, just like Bandit was your pet. Can you by any chance remember about a week ago when somebody tried to eat your pet? Winter hesitated. Of course he remembered that, and he remembered how Moon had saved his scavenger in her quiet but resolute way. Quibbly was right. Again. There was nothing more infuriating in the entire world. Bandit is much smarter than a flea-ridden sloth, Winter snapped, landing on one of the fat branches on a nearby tree. He flinched as a centipede as long as his foot immediately scuttled over his claws. But fine, I won't eat any stupid sloths. Is there anything else that's off-limit that I should know about? Beloved armadillos, hairy giant spiders that someone is terribly attached to.
I think the tamarin monkeys are really cute.
Moon offered, swooping up beside him.
It'd be great if you could not eat those.
Winter scowled at her, as often happened with Moon. He couldn't tell if she was joking. Would you really eat a hairy spider anyway? Quigley asked with genuine curiosity. Exquisite clutched his sloth closer, hissed at Pikachu and Winter, and vanished again. This time Winter could see the ripple of her scales changing and the slight weirdness of the air as she moved. A moment later the branch shook as she took off, and he saw leaves thrashing about as the camouflage dragon flapped away. Moon landed next to Winter and suddenly reached out to brush his wings with hers. Unlike Quigley's, Moon's scales were cool and smooth, like the icy walls of his room back in the palace. How dare she touch me, Winter thought. But then he found himself keeping as still as he could so their wings would stay connected. What is wrong with me? Moon's eyes were far away, and he wondered if she even knew she was touching him. Someone's coming, she whispered. Someone with dark thoughts. Did she see darkness in my mind? Winter wondered. How did she feel about the way I hate other dragons? What's a dark thought? Quigley asked, with something odd in his voice. Nervousness? Was he also worried about what Moon had found inside him? What had she seen in his head? It's obsidian. He's thinking he hates being on guard duty, Moon said thoughtfully. Especially with a Rainwing he's been assigned as a partner. He hates being told what to do by Rainwings. He wishes the Nightwings could overthrow Queen Glory and rule the rainforest themselves. She paused. Alright, we're safe. They've come by. She realized her wing was still touching Winter's and pulled away with an apologetic expression. He tried to pretend he hadn't even noticed. Sorry, I'm awing a lot at those two. Like, they're adorable, okay? So, we're all aboard with avoiding Nightwings then? Quigley said. Excellent. Present company exec. Present company executive, of course. Maybe not all Nightwings, but definitely him, Moon said. She sighed. I should probably tell the Queen what I can do so I can warn her about dragons like this. Her tail flicked the leaves around them. But I worry. I mean, should dragons be punished for their thoughts, even if they never act on them? But what if warning her means they'll never do whatever terrible thing they're thinking of? I don't know. I don't want anyone to use me as a way to spy on private thoughts of her subjects. Really? Quigley said. But it would be useful to know if a coup or an assassination is coming. If you could prevent that, wouldn't it be worth spying on a few dragons? No, Winter snapped. Nothing justifies invading another dragon's mind. But that's how she stopped Icicle from killing Starflight, Quigley pointed out. Aren't you grateful she did that? Winter glared down at Kinkaju, who had gone back to splashing in the rivers below. I still don't like it, he said. And the wrong talents. I mean, Moon could tell Queen Glory she heard someone planning a murder, and that dragon could be punished. And who could prove her wrong? I wouldn't lie, Moon said, looking outraged. Sorry.
How do we know that? Winter asked. You hid your powers from us. Why should we trust you? And even if you wouldn't lie, what about other Nightwings? They've lied before, haven't they? They lied about having powers for years, apparently. The entire tribe is full of liars, going back thousands of years to Darkstalker and his cursed mother, Foeslayer.
Damn! Oh, okay, so they're all taught about Darkstalker and Foeslayer. Okay. Foeslayer was his, well, Foeslayer was Darkstalker's Nightwing mom, who could see the future. Could she see the future? Or maybe read minds. I can't remember. I can't remember which one of those it was. Moon jumped, overbalanced, and fell off the branch with a lot of wild thrashing. Startled, Winter peered down at her as she climbed back up. 3 moons? What was that about? Creepily asked when she was settled again. Are you alright? Moon was breathing in a funny, almost panicked way. Darkstalker? She said to Winter. How do you know about him? Everyone knows about him, Winter said. I don't, Quibbly said. Everyone, Winter said pointedly. Who's anyone? Ah, I see, Quibbly said. You mean Icewings? And Nightwings, Moon said. He's our legend. Nightmare. Ghost monster from the beyond. Whatever. Ours too, Winter said grimly. Trust me. Why? What did he ever do to the Icewings? Moon asked. Killed one of our princes? Winter said. Stole our royal heritage. Ruined everything forever. Oh my, forever? Quickly asked. He gave the sunlit rainforest a mock-serious nodding inspection. Well, that explains it. I was wondering why everything was so very ruined all the time. Thank goodness there's one ancient dead dragon you can blame for it all. You wouldn't joke if you knew the whole story, Winter snapped. Moon closed her eyes, then shook her head with an expression that looked like frustration. I want to know the whole... she began, and then her eyes popped open in alarm. They're coming back! Obsidian and the Rainwing Guard. We should... Hello! Kinkajou called, waving her wings. Hi! Over here! Not do that, Quibbly finished for Moon as she winced. It was too late. Winter hissed softly. There was no chance of sneaking through the rainforest now. The guards were heading straight for them. End of chapter 3. I need to mute real quick. 1 sec. Sorry. As I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I had a cold last week. I got a cold last week. It's still there, though not as much, but it's still there. So, yeah. Need to blow my nose every once in a while. It's annoying, I know. But we got 2 chapters left, everybody. How about that? I'm just gonna check how many chapters it is actually. How many pages it is. There you go. Okay, so this chapter is 9 and a bit, regular length.
last chapter is 16 and a bit longer. Much longer than a regular one. Like 50% longer. So yeah. So we have like 26 pages left. Around 27 actually. Chapter 4. Now I need to yawn, sorry. Sorry about that. Chapter 4. I need to look at this real quick. Nope, I will. Chapter 4. A black dragon, the one with ugly thoughts, slowly stalked along the banks of the river, staring at King Kaju. His forked black tongue flicked in and out, and his expression was calculating. A few steps ahead of him was a rainwing, dappled green like the forest, but not completely camouflaged. She splashed into the river and over to King Kaju, frowning. "Oh, it's you!" King Kaju said. Winter had never heard that tone of gloom in a little rainwing before. Oh, it's you. Hi, Bromelade. I thought you were Orchid. What are you doing back here? Bromelade demanded. You were supposed to stay at that school the Queen sent you to. I told her you were a terrible student that would definitely fail or run off. Why would she listen? But why would you listen? Mysteriously not, and now here you are. So I suppose I was right. I'm doing something important, King Kaju snapped. I'm here to save the Queen, if you must know. Winter caught the shifty expression that crossed Obsidian's face. Maybe Moon was right. Maybe this dragon's thoughts were as dangerous as they sounded. Then Obsidian looked up, and his gaze landed on Winter. His tail began lashing furiously. An ice wing, he hissed. An old rainforest. Don't just lurk in the trees, friend. Come down and say hello. That sounded like just about the last thing Winter wanted to do, but picking a fight with a Nightwing would waste time. Time he needed to find his sister. He reluctantly spread his wings. Don't let him bully you. Don't let him bully you, Moon whispered, catching one of Winter's talons before he could lift off. He's afraid of you. He's planning how he can be cruel and commanding. He can be as cruel... Gonna try that one again. He's planning how to be as cruel and commanding as possible because he wants to see you squirm. I don't squirm for anyone, Winter snarled under his breath. I know, Moon said. You shouldn't. You're a much better dragon than he is. You're a much better dragon than most anyone. She ducked her head to look down at her claws. Winter blinked at her. Was that really what she thought? Even after looking inside him? Not me though, right? Quigley said, nudging Moon with a grin. He's not better than me. I'm awesome, right? Like, the most awesome. The way she smiled back at the Sandwing, like she couldn't help herself, made Winter's scales feel all crawly and too warm. He spun around away from them and leaped down to the ground. The Nightwing god sat back on his haunches, inspecting the dragons suspiciously as Moon and Quigley landed on the river bank as well. Having a Nightwing's gaze on him, traveling over him as though he was a half-eaten seal carcass, made Winter want to smash in some faces with his tail. He scraped his serrated claws through the damp layer of leaves on the forest floor. You're a peculiar dragonette, Obsidian said finally, narrowing his eyes at Moon. Bale screw already. Did they realize you can't talk and send you back? What's with the multicolored escort?
He squinted at the dragons around her. Exactly who are you? None of your business, Winter growled. Obsidian's eyes went up and he eyed Winter even more closely. Winter wondered if it would be a bad start if he slashed that superior expression right off the black dragon's face. We're here to see Queen Glory, Quigley said. Winter was interested to hear a note of hostility in Quigley's voice as well. From what he'd seen so far, the Sandwing usually got along with everyone, or tried to, especially right at first. And trust me, she'll want to see us, so don't be a camel sniffer about it. Ooh, damn! I have to take you to the Night Village, Obsidian said haughtily. That's the protocol for new dragons in the rainforest. We sent her a message, and if she wants to see you, she'll come find you there.
No, Kinkaji said. Hello, I am a Rainwing, not a new dragon. I live here. I'm practically the Queen's best friend, and I'm taking my new friends to see her right now.
The Nightwing shifted his wings slightly and flicked his tongue through his sharp teeth. Kinkaju, Moon said, touching her clawmate's shoulder. Actually, if we go to the village, I could see my mother, and we could ask whether anyone's seen Icicle.
Oh, all right, Kinkaju agreed, but I'm going because I want to, not because anyone's telling me to.
She flared the ruff behind her ears at Obsidian, turning it orange as she did. He smiled nastily. Well, come along then. I'll go tell Queen Gloria here, said Bromelade, lifting off into the trees. Winter followed Quibbly and the others, staying a few steps behind so he could keep an eye on Obsidian. He had imagined visiting the home of the Nightwings many times, but in those fantasies, he always arrived at the head of a battalion of Icewings. His vision generally involved swooping down in vengeful glory, blasting frost breath across the entire city, and wiping out the whole tribe in one icy attack. Nightwings had been the sworn enemies of Icewings for hundreds of years, but there hadn't been any action between them during Winter's lifetime. The Icewings had been too busy with the War of Sandwing succession, fighting nearly every other tribe, to worry about the secretive, impossible-to-find Nightwings. But then the news had arrived about the massacre at the Skywing Palace, when the whole tribe heard that Nightwings had descended on Scarlet's arena and slaughtered all the Icewing prisoners while they were still chained and bound. Well, Winter wasn't the only one who'd sworn vengeance. Finding the secret Nightwing home had become the ambition of every young Nightwing. Now here he was, about to walk right into it. This wasn't the secret home, of course. This was their new home, the one they'd been driven to after the volcano erupted and wiped out their last home. Everyone knew about this one, just like everyone knew the Nightwings had no more powers, that they were resettling in the rainforest, and that a 7-year-old Rainwing was their new queen. They heard the village before they saw it. Wing beats, branches being ripped off trees, something that sounded like hammering. Winter could also smell meat cooking over a fire, and he wished he could order his stomach not to growl and embarrass him. Then he saw black scales ahead and felt his talons start tingling. 2 dragons were pacing across a path that had been cleared through the trees, evidently guarding it. Obsidian went ahead to speak to them in low murmurs. The Nightwings glanced over, and Winter's claws curled in. If he had to die fighting Nightwings, that would be a fine way to go out. Will they kill me like they killed Hailstorm? He caught himself. It was instinct to see a Nightwing and think of his brother's death, But according to Queen Scarlet, Hailstorm wasn't dead. 12 other Icewind prisoners definitely were, though. And somewhere in this village were the dragons who killed them. Obsidian beckoned Winter and the others forward with his tail, and the two guards stepped aside to let them pass, smirking in a horrible, superior Nightwing sort of way. What do you think those smug expressions are for? Quigley said loudly to Winter. Doesn't seem like Nightwings have anything left to be smug about, right? I mean, they've gone from claiming to be the most powerful tribe in Imperia to homeless and pathetic and bowing to Rainwings. All three guards bristled, flaring their wings.
What's wrong with bowing to a Rainwing? Kinkaju demanded. Quickly, quit making this worse. Quit making things worse,
Moon hissed. I was just wondering, he said calmly with a wink at Winter. Winter knew what he was doing, and it had worked. Quigley's words had riled up the Nightwings and made Winter feel better at the same time. All of his senses were on high alert as they walked into the village, and more Nightwings appeared around them. His eyes darted around, assessing their activity. He expected plotting and scheming and battle training, but most of the Nightwings seemed to be busily engaged in very ordinary things. Sorry, I needed to change my posture. A group of 10 were grappling with vines and bushes and stunted trees, trying to expand the open space. 3 more were washing fruit in a river near a set of cooking fires dug into the ground, where another 4 Nightwings were roasting what looked like small pigs. Several others were working on shoring up the ramshackle huts that dotted the cleared area. Winter saw a young dragon scramble onto a roof to add more giant palm leaves, only to have the entire structure cave in underneath her. She plummeted to the ground with a yell and a crash, and a few other Nightwings began shouting at her.
There were a few Rainwings who might have helped them build all this, Kinkaju explained suddenly, glancing at Winter and Quigley. We could have showed them how to set up the village into the treetops like ours, but the Nightwings didn't want help. Plus, they thought it was too sunny up there. Like, what does that even mean? How can it even be too sunny?
It was cooler down on the rainforest floor, but it was also muddier. Winter wasn't sure which option he'd prefer, but he was glad he didn't have to live here at all. He wondered if the Nightwings really found it an improvement over their last home.
Mother!
Moon cried suddenly. Her whole face lit up like the sun sparkling off a glacier. She flew across the clearing and threw her wings around a tall, thin dragon who looked a lot like Moon, without the silver teardrop scales near her eyes. Moon! The Nightwing gasped. Her expression went from quietly tired to startled to overjoyed, and she wrapped the dragonette in close to her with fierce affection. Winter felt a strange twinge watching them. Icewings don't talk like that, he reminded himself. At least royal ones don't. It would be undignified. He couldn't imagine his mother or father wrapping their wings around him, or looking that happy to see him, for that matter. Was this how all Nightwings were with their dragonettes? He glanced around the clearing, looking for dragons younger than himself, and realized there were almost none. It took him a while to finally spot one by the river, leaning against his mother's side and helping to wash fruit. She had one wing tented protectively over him, and there was another small dragonette over by a fallen tree, practicing her flying. A dragon who might be her father's stood beside her, catching her when she fell awkwardly. and there was something protective and proud about the way he was standing too. Winter pulled his gaze away, noticing odd looks on the other dragonets' faces. Quipley and Kinkaju, there was something faintly wistful in their expressions as they watched Moon and her mother. He caught himself starting to wonder what their family stories were. They look like lonely cows, he thought ferociously. I refuse to moon about that like that or anything. My parents are perfect the way they are. They made me strong and dangerous. A true dragon. Stronger than anyone else here, that's for sure. I may not be as fearsome as Hailstorm, but still, I'm an Icewing, the greatest tribe in Pyria. I must act like one. Especially here with so many Nightwing eyes on me. Like Father says, be strong, be vigilant, strike first, and trust nobody. What are you doing here? Moon's mother asked, holding Moon by her shoulders. Moon curled her wings in, her face falling. I didn't get thrown out, she said in a soft voice. I didn't do anything wrong, and nobody... That didn't happen, Mother. Winter realized that Moon was responding to something her mother was thinking. He touched the Skyfire pouch again and wondered if the little rock could protect him from all the Nightwings here, or if there were other secret mind readers invading his thoughts right now. Shh, said the older dragon, pulling Moon close again. She eyed Winter and Quipley warily. But I did make friends, Moon said. He wriggled out of her mother's grasp. You should meet them. She turned toward the others, and her eyes went wide. No, stop, she shouted. He's not... Suddenly, claws encircled Winter's neck, and his body was thrown to the ground with a jarring thud. Someone bigger and heavier leaped on top of him, pinning him down. Don't bother struggling, Icewing, said an unfamiliar voice. You're under arrest. Ooh, damn. Damn. Okay. Sorry, that was the end of chapter 4, by the way. I am interested in what's going to happen and who that dragon was. Though I do have a guess. I do have a guess. But anyway, we're on to the last chapter of the day. And that is chapter 5. Winter roared with fury, struggling to fight back, but his attacker had him expertly immobilized. Stop! Get off him! Moon yelled. Winter couldn't see much, but his snout pressed into the ground. But he felt the weight of dragons pushing and grappling on his wings. He's on our side, Kinkaju cried. Or he was before you randomly attacked him for no reason. Now he'll never like us again. I wasn't going to anyway, Winter bellowed as best he could, seething with rage and humiliation. I didn't like you before either. I don't like any of you, and I'm going to murder this Nightwing. I don't know, he sounds kind of murdery, Kinkaju, said the voice. And we heard there's an extra dangerous Icewing on the loose right now. So I'm going to keep sitting on him until I get further instructions. I'm instructing you, Kinkaju yelped. He's not the dangerous one. That's his sister. That's true, Quipley chimed in. This one is honorable. He's no sneaking the night assassin. Hey, ouch, said the dragon on top of Winter. Nothing wrong with assassins. Who said there was anything dishonorable about assassins? They're just not allowed to kill my queen. It's my job to stop them and drop some violence on their head, but I'm not judging them. Sheesh.
He's not here to kill Glory, Moon said. If he were, he would tell you, and he'd challenge her in open combat.
Would I? Winter wondered. True, I wouldn't hurt a nothing Rainwing, but if I had the chance to kill the Nightwing Queen, would I have done it in the honorable way, or any way possible? What would Mother have wanted me to do? Any way possible, he guessed. That was how Icicle and Hailstorm had been trained. Deathbringer! Another new voice thundered, loud enough to rattle the leaves overhead. What are you doing? Saving you, protecting the forest, defending our new home, sitting on a very cold Icewing, said the Nightwing from his perch on Winter's back. You know, the usual. I knew it was Deathbringer. I knew it! Well, I didn't know it, but I had a hunch. Sorry. A murmur eddied through the village as footsteps approached. Winter tried to wriggle around to see who it was coming, but Deathbringer reached out and gently pinned his head to the ground again. A grotesque, greenish-brown beetle with about 4,000 legs came scuttling up and began creeping curiously onto Winter's nose. Stop arresting my guests, said the newcomer, pausing beside Winter. It's not romantic or heroic, it's annoying. I've told you this before. I know, Deathbringer said, sounding aggrieved. But look, it's an Icewing. Sunny specifically said an Icewing tried to kill all the Prophecy Dragonets. This is definitely a opinion before asking questions kind of situation. Alright, off, Glory said firmly. The weight on top of Winter suddenly lifted as if she'd hauled Deathbringer off with her own talents. I am going to replace you as my bodyguard if you seriously can't tell the difference between a male Icewing traveling with my friend Kinkaju and Moonwatcher and a lone female Icewing out to kill me. Pay a little more attention to detail, Deathbringer. Also, by the way, you want to talk about killing Prophecy Dragonets? Winter scrambled upright, flinging the beetle off his nose and baring his teeth as it spun around. His attacker was a Nightwing a few years older than him, wary and graceful and clearly trained to fight from the way he stood and the way he was assessing Winter. Winter lunged toward him and found his way blocked by a dark green dragon with flares of orange around her ears and along the underside of her wings. She reached out and took one of Winter's talons, pressing it between hers and lowering her head in a small bow. We are so honored to have Pink Glacier's nephew in our forest, she said. I sincerely apologize for the outrageous behavior of my brain-dead bodyguard. You should have been escorted at once to my royal pavilion, not attacked in such a disrespectful manner. She glanced around at the gawking Nightwings. Everyone, back to work right now. To Winter's surprise, they obeyed her, although there were a few muttered grumbles and 2 or 3 dragons who moved deliberately slowly. He hesitated. Every bone in his body wanted to fly into a rage and rip Deathbringer's wings off. He couldn't let a Nightwing treat him that way, especially in front of all the other Nightwings, and get away with it. But he'd never been greeted as visiting royalty before. And there was something irresistibly compelling about the way King Glory beckoned him to walk beside her, as if they were equals. Will he be punished? Winter demanded. Oh yes, Queen Glory said, frowning at Deathbringer, creatively and firmly. Very well, Winter said. He shook as much dirt off his wings as he could and stepped up regally beside Glory. I don't have time to punish him myself anyway. We have urgent matters to discuss. Indeed, said the Queen, turning to lead the way out of the village. Behind him, Winter heard Moon saying goodbye to her mother and the others hurrying to join him. Sonny told me some of the details, but I hope you can fill in the rest.
I can!
Kinkaju offered, bouncing up on Glory's other side.
Winter's sister, Icicle, who is like wicked scary by the way, was secretly conspiring with Queen Scarlet because it turns out Winter's brother is like actually alive, not dead like everyone thought. And Scarlet's totally got him locked up somewhere, so Icicle's going to kill Starflight to get him back, except then Moon and Quickly and Winter completely heroically stopped her and was apparently amazing, and I missed the whole thing, can you believe it? And so then Icicle flew off and we figure she's coming here to kill you, so we're here to completely heroically stop her again and also find out what she knows, and so we can rescue Winter's brother ourselves. Also, hello, school is awesome. How are you?
Damn. Kinkaju! You're in as much trouble as Deathbringer, Glory said sternly, looking down at the dragonette. What were you thinking, leaving school without permission? When everyone was already in such a state? Do you know how worried Sonny and Clay have been? Kinkaju stopped in her tracks with an expression of deep dismay and an explosion of dark blue splotches across her scales.
Oh no, she cried. I'm sorry. Didn't Turtle tell them where we went?
Yes, and that certainly helped, Glory said with a snort. Good news. Good news. 4 of your students have gone off to find a dragon who just tried to kill you in order to find another dragon who has tried to kill you about 90,000 times.
Oh, excellent. Thanks, Turtle.
Now we don't have to worry at all. I mean, we were hoping somebody would take care of eventual and deadly Queen Scarlet for us, preferably a bunch of 5-year-olds. Very reassuring indeed. Moon ducked her head. Sorry, Your Majesty, she said. This felt urgent. She glanced sideways at Winter, and an odd flicker of something like gratitude went off in his chest. Stupid, stupid! As if he cared that she knew how important it was to find his brother. I didn't ask for help, and I don't need it.
This is urgent, Kinkaju said. We think Icicle is coming here next to kill you.
That's what I said, offered Deathbringer, who was trailing behind them with an expression that looked closer to amusement than repentant. Ahem. Glory considered Kinkaju thoughtfully. Do you really think so? Absolutely, Quibbly interjected. You're the only target she has left. It's a smart choice for her. I'd wager a month of lizards on it. That would be irritating, Glory said. If Deathbringer turns out to be right, I mean. It makes him really insufferable. I'm here to search for my sister, Winter said to Queen Glory. I just need your assurance that no one will interfere with me while I do that. He cast a dark glance over his shoulder at Deathbringer. I think we can do better than that, said the Queen. She stopped and tilted her snout at one of the branches overhead. Banana? Winter frowned. No, thank you. But as he spoke, he noticed a shimmering in the air around the branch, and then all at once there was a dragon sitting there in a rather hideous shade of pink that Winter had never seen before. Actually, it's Heliconia, Your Majesty, said the Rainwing, but good guess. Glory flicked her tail. Heliconia, please tell my scout captains to meet me at... Oh! She thought it was a Rainwing named Banana. But the Rainwing is actually called Heliconia. Glory flicked her tail. Heliconia, please tell my scout captains to meet me at the pavilion as soon as possible. The pink dragon's scales started fading into shades of blue.
But I shouldn't leave you unguarded, Majesty.
The Rainwing Queen waved her talons at the surrounding trees. I think 7 gods are quite sufficient. One might call it overkill, in fact.
One might even infer that somebody doesn't think he can do his job properly on his own. Also, that he must think I'm either blind or deaf or recently hit on the head. That I wouldn't notice the addition of 5 more dragons following me around. The whole point of a top secret invisible guard, Deathbringer said severely, is for them to be invisible and secret. Therefore, it is extremely unhelpful for certain queens to go pointing them out and discussing them loudly with the entire rainforest.
Go now, Glory said to Heliconia, ignoring Deathbringer. The Rainwing god bowed immediately and vanished. Winter could barely hear her wing beats flapping away over the buzzing, dripping sounds of the rainforest. He curled his talons and stared up at the trees. There were seven other dragons up there, watching them. He couldn't see any sign of even one. Alright, he admitted to himself, grudgingly. That's kind of an impressive skill. Icewings were good at hiding in the snow, of course, but here in the rainforest, he stuck out like a broken wing. Which means Icicle will too, at least. The pavilion is a short flight this way, Glory explained to Winter. I had it built halfway between the Nightwings and the Rainwings for anything official. She took to the air, and Winter and the others followed her. He strained his ears to listen for the sounds of 7 extra pairs of wings flying alongside them, but it was impossible to separate them out from the others. Queen Glory's royal pavilion was a vast platform in the air, built on the branches of a circle of tall, overlapping trees. Winter guessed that it was about midway between the ground and the treetops, middle ground for the Nightwings and the Rainwings. It had a roof made of the same translucent leaves he'd seen in the library windows at Jade Mountain, constructed atop twisted wooden columns instead of walls, so the pavilion was open to the air but sheltered from the rain. Sorry. Let's see how many pages are left actually. Okay, 3, 4, 6, 8. 8 and a bit. Sorry. We're halfway through this chapter. It's one of the longer ones. Purple and blue morning glory flowers hung like bells from the vines that wound around each column, and delicate white-orange-pink orchids grew from the mossy crevices of the tree. They landed one by one, shaking out their wings and sinking their talons into the claw-marked wooden floor. Winter's gaze swept into the interior of the pavilion, which was almost empty. 2 scroll racks stood on either side of a simple raised day. I forget how this word is pronounced. Dais. Days. I don't know. Only a few inches higher than the rest of the platform. Not much of a throne, Winter reflected as Glory climbed onto it and settled herself with her tail around her claws. Now, she said, I know who you all are, but let's officially meet anyway. I'm Glory, Queen of the Rainwings and the Nightwings. My overenthusiastic bodyguard here is Deathbringer. He lifted one talon into the air, and a sleek, beautiful gray sloth clambered down from the roof beams to curl up on his shoulder. And this is Silver.
Royal pet, not royal lunch,
Quibbly said to Winter, nudging his wings.
So try not to eat it, if you can restrain yourself.
I'm Quibbly, Your Majesty, one of Queen Thorn's advisors. Welcome. And here we have Moonwatcher Kinkajou, and of course Prince Winter, said Glory. My friends will be very relieved that you're all safe. Jade Mountain is a bit of a mess right now, and it didn't help to have one entire winglet disappear.
Sorry,
Kinkatsu squeaked.
sorry.
Moon agreed, looking down at her talons. There was a pause. The queen gazed sternly down her nose at the other dragons. Alright, I'm sorry for making them worry, Quigley said, but Winter can't go searching for Icicle and Hailstorm all by himself. Yes, I can, Winter said sharply. That's the entire plan. That's what I'm going to do. It suddenly occurred to him to wonder what would happen if someone else found Icicle before he did. Would they try to hurt her? They'd have done that if they did. She was bigger, more ferocious, and 10 times better trained than any of these little dragons. His insides gave a weird lurch as he imagined what would happen if she found Moon unguarded. Icicle would definitely kill her. The Nightwing who'd foiled her plan to kill Starlight. The Nightwing who was always too close to her brother from Icicle's point of view. If she knew how I've been feeling about Moon, she'd be even more likely to kill her, he realized. Not that he felt that way about Moon anymore. He couldn't. Moon had lied to him and invited his mind. He could put her safely back in the category of despicable, conniving Nightwings I hate. He glanced over at her as she lifted her head and met his eyes. Something in her expression said, I will help you whether you let me or not. Much like the first time they'd met, when she'd protected his scavenger no matter how he threatened her. It doesn't mean anything, this twisting feeling in my chest. I can hate her and still not want Icicle to kill her. It doesn't mean that I care about her. Sure, Winter. Sure. Well, let's see, Glory said, sitting up alertly. Here come my watchers. Dragons began appearing out of the leaves, materializing like the sun coming out from behind a cloud. In alarmingly bright shades of yellow, blue, and pink, they swooped into the pavilion and landed in a row in front of Queen Glory, until there were 6 dragons lined up. Alright, a line was hardly the right description for this slipshod way they were standing. Some of them with their wings akimbo. Akimbo? Okay, that's a new word for me. I have never heard that word before. I'm going to search it up later. Akimbo, or their tails flopping all over the place. No discipline, Winter thought disapprovingly, remembering the rigid, perfectly coiled lines of guards that attended Queen Glacier. He also remembered practicing for hours to get that stance just right. His wings folded exactly so, his tail in the right position, his snout up and shoulders back. It was agony to hold that pose for too long, but his mother had made him stand like that before every meal, making him wait until she approved before letting him eat. These Rainwings need someone to whip them into shape, he thought, resettling his tail with a small rattle of spikes. I called you in to ask if any of you have seen the sign of an Icewing today, Queen Glory said. For those of you who don't remember the lessons, those are the white or blue dragons with spiked tails or cold scales. One of the Rainwings leaned toward her in a loud whisper that carried to the other side of the pavilion. He hissed, Your Majesty, I think there's one of them right behind me. The dragon next to him also looked around in alarm, spotted Winter, and leaped backward, nearly knocking one of her companions off the platform.
Oh my gosh, is that what they look like? She cried. Why is it pointy all over?
Look at its tail, yelped another. It really is all spiky.
And can you feel how cold it is?
Wow, it's so weird, said a fourth, reaching for Winter's wings. Winter twitched back and growled at her. Glory exhaled slowly through her nose. This is our guest, Prince Winter of the Icewings. Have you seen any dragons today that look like him? No, they all answered, almost in unison. Would have noticed if I did,
One of them offered. Look at how sparkly he is, like raindrops of on a cobweb or something. I'd say, agreed another. Plus, brrr, I think I'd have woken up if something that cold went by me. Me too, said a third. The queen closed her eyes eloquently. Deathbringer cleared his throat. Permission to check with the backup Nightwing guards? He asked. Yes, Queen Glory said, waving him away. But make sure you tell them if they do see an Icewing, they are to follow her, not attack her, especially if they're on their own. Deathbringer bowed and spread his wings. That includes you, Glory yelled after him as he flew away. Keep your claws to yourself. Can't hear you, he called back cheerfully. Gosh, I love Deathbringer. Winter glanced sideways at the moon and found her staring intently at one of the Rainwing watchers. Moon said, Your Majesty, can I ask? Yes, Glory said, waving her talons. Speak up. Just, even if they didn't see an Icewing, Moon blurted in a hurry. Anything suspicious, like something frozen or colder than usual. She trailed off. She knows that Rainwing saw something, Winter guessed. She saw it in his head. But of course, she hadn't told Queen Glory she could read minds yet. Well, there was this weird spot near the oldest giant banyan tree. The Rainwing Scout mused almost to himself. I did notice something funny there. What did you mean? What do you mean? Glory asked him. There was a spot on the ground that was all shriveled up, kind of. The Rainwing answered. His scales were royal blue, dotted with little swirls of dark pink. It looked like something had killed all the plants in a circle there, and they were kind of crusty and whitish, and the berries were hard as rocks. Oh, and kind of cold too. Do you think that's important? Oh dear! Winter flared his wings. Where was this? He demanded. How far away? I know where the banyan tree is, Glory said, already rising. She untangled Silver from her neck and deposited the Salath on a nearby branch. We can be there in a few minutes. The rest of you, stay here. Can't I come too? Moon asked. I can be useful. She stopped, struggling for words. Winter realized that she was hoping her mind reading could help. Me too, Kinkaju cried. I want to come. No, Queen Glory said firmly. I am your queen, both of you. I am your queen, both of you, and I'm ordering you to stay here. Winter wished he could insist on going himself, but he needed someone to show him the way, and if he was perfectly honest, someone who could sense Icicle's mind nearby would probably come in handy. Moon can come, he said, with what he hoped was an offhanded shrug. That's fine. Not her, though. She's far too loud. He jerked his chin at Kinkaju. I am not! Kinkaju protested. That's so unfair! Kinkaju, you wanted me to be queen, and now you have to listen to me. Glory said, stay here, because if you get killed by an Icewing, I'm going to be extremely mad at you. She glanced from Winter to Moon, a wrinkle of puzzlement on her forehead. But all right, Moon, come along. Soon the three of them were soaring through the trees. Well, trying to soar. Winter kept getting his wings tangled up in unexpected vines or spider webs or branches, or once snagged on the nest of a large, beaked, indignant red bird. After a few minutes of flying, Queen Glory stopped abruptly and swam around.
This is a level of mercy that makes me think you aren't even trying to be stealthy. She said, "Come on out." Quibbly emerged sheepishly from behind a tree with huge leaves. "I was trying to be stealthy," he protested, "but there's too many things to crash into. I'm an wide open desert kind of dragon." Winter shook off a tangle of moss and branches, disgruntled to realize he agreed with the Sandwing about something. "What did I say about staying put?" Glory asked. "You're a great queen, I hear, but with all due respect, you're not my queen," Quibbly said, setting his jaw. "I go where they go. Besides, Winter wants me along. He just can't admit it." "I don't," Winter said. "You can send him back to the kingdom of sand for all I care." "He adores me," Quibbly said. Glory rolled her eyes. "Fine. Enough arguing. Let's go." Quibbly shot Winter a delighted grin and flapped over to fly beside Moon. She was surprisingly dexterous at moving between the trees and dodging stray branches. Even Glory still ran into things occasionally, but Moon slipped easily through the forest, like a seal diving in the waves. Soon they were descending toward an absolutely enormous fat tree with bulging branches and knobbly roots sticking out of the undergrowth. From the air, Winter spotted the circle the Rainwing had mentioned. The frozen berries had melted into mushy puddles of purple, while the leaves and undergrowth were all black and damp. But it wasn't a neat circle. There were patches of green still left on the circumference of it, which meant something had been blocking Icicle's frost breath in those spots. Something or someone. Glory and Moon circled the tree while Winter and Quibbly landed and studied the rainforest floor. A sharp headache was starting to work its way through Winter's brain. He didn't want this to be true. He wanted to find Icicle, but he didn't want to find out that she'd done something else terrible. The layers of leaves and bracken were disturbed here, as if something had been dragged away. Quibbly noticed it too, his snout wrinkled with concern. Winter followed the trail, trying to guess what he would have done in this situation. Hidden the body to give myself more time before I was caught. But she couldn't have dragged it far. Maybe I'm just imagining the worst. Maybe she killed a rainforest boar, a really big one, and dragged it off trees. Maybe... Winter paced over to the wall of bushes where the ground began to slope. The banyan roots extended this far, some of them nearly as fat around as a dragon. Between one of the roots and the bushes was a mound of leaves, dirt, moss, and mulch that looked too big to be natural. His heart sinking, Winter started to clear away the debris. Moon and Quibbly joined him, helping silently. The corpse of a Nightwing god lay beneath the dirt in a hastily dug hollow, his face contorted in frozen rage, his throat slashed, and his scales ravaged by frost breath. Icicle was definitely here. End of chapter 5. And that was the last chapter of the day. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Yeah. Yeah. To any new viewers I have, this is one of the main things I do. I read a series called Wings of Fire. Sorry. This is book 7 we're on. There are 14 currently in the series. Book 15 is being written as we speak. Yeah. But I also draw during the weekends. And I play some games as well. I have played Undertale. And I am going to start a new game on Thursday. So yeah, you can see my schedule in the panels below. And you can also donate if you want to. That is totally up to you, but you will have your name come up and everything for the gift, and I would appreciate that so much, but no pressure, obviously. But yeah, I hope you had a great stream. Remember to follow if you're not followed. It would mean the world to me. We are trying to reach 50 followers before Pride, so in a week. And I'm going to be trying something for Pride Week as well. I'm gonna try and make my scenes a bit gayer. You know, everything could be gayer. To quote Thomas Sanders, could be gayer. Got some of his could be gayer merch as well. Love it. Especially the hoodie. It's so warm and soft. Anyway. But yeah. And also, like, for Pride, I'm going to, during the drawing streams on the weekends, I will be trying to get guests to, like, talk about their journey and experiences with, like, their gender and sexuality. And if they have a different name, if they changed their name, how they, like, found it, how they knew that was their name, and everything. And I'm obviously also going to talk about my journey. I'm going to give you the background story to my name, because, yeah, I like that background story to my name. But yeah. But that's what I'm going to be trying to do during Pride. I'm gonna see if I can get my partner Bones as well, because they got a bit of a journey during last year as well. So yeah. And I would have loved to, like, have them during my drawing stream this week, but they are working. This is day 5, I think, of 9 consecutive working days. Like, in a row. And then they get a few days off, 2 different days off. But, like, holy dang, 9 days? Yeah. Remember to set boundaries at work as well. Because they forgot. Like, their manager, I think, asked that since they had these 2 days off, if they could work these days, and they agreed, and then later realized, oh, that means I'm going to be working 9 days in a row. I have done that, and it is so draining, and I really hope they get a lot of sleep when they get home tonight. Well, it will be tonight for me, but I don't know. Maybe, like, afternoon for them. Because they live in America, I live in Denmark. If you can hear that from my accent, or lack thereof. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's stream. Yeah, and I hope the effect, like the co-effect for when Winter is thinking things, works well. I'm going to listen to the stream later, like, to see if that worked well. Yeah. I am going to get something to eat and then go hydrate, because I forgot to get some water during the stream and my throat is really dry now. So yeah, Remember to hydrate. Do not dehydrate. Don't be like me. Because if you dehydrate, I will come after you. You'll be in trouble. Remember to treat others the way you want them to treat you. Just be kind overall. And I will see you guys later. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And VOD watchers, I see you. Welcome. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Yeah. That's it.
Bye!